Okay, guys. Hi, this is Mrs. Heisenbubble, and today we're going to be going over CS First characterization lesson. So we did this today on, what's today? September 15th, so that you can see basically what I went through with everybody who was in class. And if you missed it and you want to go over it again, you obviously can, and you can fast forward through this if you need to get to the part you want. So we are going to create a story where the character does not have an assignment for school. And you're going to describe your character through their actions, through their thoughts and their words. You're going to use different coding pieces that we've talked about in order to do this. So one, you need to use event blocks, not just the when flag click. There should be more event blocks than that for you to use, but that's a good example of one and it will get you started. You need to sequence some say blocks, at least 3 of them, to have your character think or say something in order, so that not all 3 pop up at the same time, but one and then the next and then the next. You're going to use some motion blocks like the glide to X and Y. You could also use the go to X and Y for parts of it, but you're going to have to move your character. And you need to use wait blocks so that your 2 characters can have a conversation. They're not talking over each other. So to do this, we are going to go to Introduction to Characterization. And there was a video that I played for you, and you can feel free to watch it. You've got the same link. I am actually just going to make this a little smaller so it's not quite so big. Next, and down here it says Starter Project. Now I believe it's going to bring up the one that I did today in class. If it does, that's fine. This is the one I did today in class. So I'm actually going to go back to my dashboard, and I'm just going to create a new project. So there's new project. Whoops, I don't want to join a class. I want to create a project. So there we go, projects, new project up here. So you will probably have a blank one. Mine currently has a cat in it. I'll take it out. So the first things we need is we need to go through our notebook and look at the things we needed. We needed at least 2 sprites. They need to have a conversation. It needs to be about one of them for getting an assignment. You're going to have to do your setup first. So again, I'm making this a little smaller so it's easier to see. The first thing I always think about is, okay, I'm the user. What am I looking for? I'm looking to see those 2 sprites. So I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to pick 2 sprites. So in this case, I think we're going to pick, oh, these are all sporty things. All right. It doesn't matter what you pick necessarily, just that you pick something that you can do the story with. So I'm going to pick Frank here because he's adorable. So he's my first character and I need at least 2. So I'm going to go ahead and pick another one. And I think I'm going to pick Gobo here because, again, super cute. So my main character is going to be Frank. So up at the top of my window, it says, oh, no lesson selected. Yours will probably already say characterization. I'm going to go in here and select characterization and save. So now I know which changes you've made may not be saved. Okay. So that it knows which assignment I'm doing that for. And then I'm over here, Frank's bad day, because Frank forgot his homework. So there we go. There's our beginning. I've changed the name of my assignment. I have 2 sprites. What do I need now? I need somewhere for this action to happen. So I need some kind of a background. So hold on, let me go back here. What I did is I just scrolled over here to backgrounds and I just went to the choose a backdrop. And I'm going to pick, I don't know, outdoors. Do they have any good ones? Yeah, they're all cities and stuff. Oh, the woods would be good. All right, I'm going to do it in the woods. So there we go. I have a background picked. That is the first part. Okay, so now we've got our basics. Now the second part of what we're going to be doing involves thinking about being the user. So the first thing is that there are no directions here for my user. Yes, it is possible to go into your backdrop and add text to a backdrop. But then if I make a mistake, I can't delete it. I would have to recreate the entire backdrop over again, and it gets kind of annoying. And it just doesn't work as well as I would like. Like, it's hard to put things forward and backward, and I don't know. I don't like it this way. If you prefer to do it that way, that's fine. Personally, I find it much easier to create my directions by creating a sprite. So I'm going to go to Sprite and the Paint, and I'm going to create some text here that I'm going to hit the T, and I'm just going to type what I want my user to do. So click the green flag to start, start or reset, and click space bar to watch. There we go, because it's going to be a little animation. So now I've given them some directions, but notice my text box should be sitting on top of my little plus here, because that means it's centered within its own area for the sprite. So my sprite isn't gigantic and off the area. Now that's okay, but I would probably move my sprite up here, and notice that purple's kind of hard to read. So let's go change it a little bit. So I'm going to go back in here, edit. I'm going to change my font to something more interesting. And let's see, I could probably use to put something behind it as well. So I'm going to put a little box behind it. And now I can move my box backwards. And then I have to go in and find my text again. There it is, because my text and my box are now the same color, so I'm going to make my text, probably that's too, well, that's probably good right there. So there we go. Click the green flag to start or reset, click the space bar to watch, or to watch the action. I don't know. Seems like a good idea to put that in there. Okay, great. So now that is a sprite by itself, and it's called Sprite 1. I can see it down here, and I can see its name right there. I'm going to go change its name to Directions. And the reason I do that is it makes it easier to figure out what I'm doing. So I know that Sprite 1 is my directions, and I know that Gobo is the friend and Frank is my character. So I'm going back to the code. Now I've got my directions, I've got my background, I've got my two characters. Now I'm going to start doing something. So the first thing I'm going to do is that green flag. When the green flag clicks, I want everything to go back to where it was. So I'm going to have Gobo be further back in the screen so that my Frank can walk over there. Now Frank is kind of huge. So I'm going to actually make Frank about 80% and see, yeah, that's a little better, because he kind of takes up the whole screen. But Gobo is further away, so he should be smaller. In fact, he should be about half the size, so I'm going to make him 50%. So he's over here, and I'm going to have Frank walk over and talk to him. So that looks good to me. I've now got my sizes the way I want them. Now I'm going to start with when green flag is clicked. So when the green flag is clicked, the first thing, really, there it is. First thing I want to have happen is I want them all to start from these positions. So I'm currently on Gobo, so I'm going to say move to, just in case he gets moved to a weird point. And notice it's already got his current X and Y. So I'm just going to have him go there when the green flag is clicked. And I'm going to do the same thing with Frank. Now, I'm super lazy. I could grab this and drag it on here, but then I would have to change the X and Y anyway. So it's just as easy to come over here to Frank when the green flag is clicked, and we're going to move him, go to, and there's Frank's initial position. Okay, the other thing that has to is the directions have to be there when I click the green flag. So I'm going to click on the directions sprite. When green flag clicked, I'm going to go to looks and make it show. Okay, so now I'm good. My user can start there. I'm going to test it. So I'm going to move these guys around. Whoops, not him. I want him to stay there. And there we go. Moved him back. There we go. So that worked. Now I'm going to go back to Frank. And the first thing I want when they press the space bar, Frank's going to start thinking. So I'm going to go get my event, which is when space key is pressed. And I'm going to have Frank think about something for 2 seconds. So I wonder if there was homework last night? Question mark. And so basically the idea here is that now when I press the space key, he wonders if there was homework last night. And it just shows up for 2 seconds. Now, for that amount of text, it looks about right. Okay, so we have our first piece. We have the green flag click moves people back to their original positions, and then the spacebar makes Frank think. So he thinks, I wonder if there was any homework last night. So then his next thought, which is going to happen right after that, is going to be, I bet Gobo can help me. So I bet Gobo knows. There we go, and that's really short, so I probably only need that for 1 second. So again, I test it. That looks about right, and now I'm going to have Frank move over to where Gobo is. So I'm going to put Frank over here so he's talking to Gobo. And so that's a motion, so I'm going to come over here to glide to, whoops, not random, glide to XY. So his current is 236 and 70, but notice how big he is. Well, if he went from the front of the stage to the back of the stage, he should get smaller. So I'm going to have him move, but I'm also going to change his size. So set size. So he was 80 up here at the beginning. So I'm going to make him half size, so he should be 40 when he's back there. And hit spacebar. Now let's put him back. Spacebar. I wonder if there was homework last night. I bet Gobo knows. And oh, it made him smaller, but now he's slightly off. So I'm going to move him to where I actually want him to be. And then I'm going to change my X and Y to 207 and 47. So there we go. And again, test it. Oh, well, now he's tiny at the front. Crud. Okay, so now when that green flag is clicked and he goes back to this location, I also need his size not to go back to 100 because we originally set him at 80. So I'm going to put him at 80 again and try that. There we go. So now he's back to his beginning size. I can hit the green flag, he goes back, hit the space bar, I'm testing it, and now he goes over there. Now, are there ways to make that size like for every step? Yes, I could move him in steps, and then each step he would shrink a certain number of percentages until he got there. That's fine. You can do that if you wish. Personally, I think this is fine for right now. So now he needs to ask Gobo a question. So as he comes walking over, Gobo's going to say hi. So when the green flag is clicked, oh, but I need to time it. So I'm looking at the space key. I press the space key. He thinks for 2 seconds, and then he thinks for another second. and then he glides for 1 second. So that's 4 seconds. So that means when I go to gobo, I have to immediately start him with the event of when the spacebar is clicked. I'm going to have him wait 4 seconds before he does anything. Okay, and that's to give enough time for gobo, or for Frank to get over to where gobo is. So there's my 4 seconds, and then I'm gonna have gobo say for 2 seconds, or actually probably for 1 second, hey Frank. And we'll make that 1 second, and then we're gonna green flag to reset, spacebar to start, and let's test it. So notice the system, do a little, test it, do a little, test it. So that worked, but it would work better if he actually waited an extra second. So that's fine. He says, hey, Frank. And then I need Frank to say something back. So notice I'm switching back and forth. So I'm going to Frank. He now has to wait for that second for, actually, you should be 2 seconds because we added a second to gobo's wait, and then gobo spoke for 1 second. So we're going to wait 2 seconds, and then Frank's going to speak, and Frank is going to say something like, hey, Gobo, was there any homework last night? Question mark. Now, that's kind of long, so I'm thinking it's going to need a 3 second. So I'm going to say for 3 seconds, again, come back, space bar to test. I realize you're like, oh, this takes forever to keep space barring and testing. Yes. But notice it works much better now that I see their little bubbles don't pop over each other, and it all works. So I'm going to say, great, was there any homework last night? So now gobo needs to answer. So I'm going to come back to gobo, and now there's another wait for, in this case, 3 seconds. And then gobo's going to answer. Actually, what I might do is have gobo think something for 2 seconds. Whoops, think something. Again, man, Frank is forgetful. Because maybe Frank forgets his homework a lot. Okay, so now he thinks, hey, Frank is awfully forgetful. Then I'm going to have him say, yep, did you forget again? Question mark. Okay, so return test. There you go. So he says, did you forget again? Then I'm going to have him say, I'm going to duplicate this say block and put it down here and add, let's take a look at what you have so far. So there we go. And then Frank, so that's 2, 2, and 2. So that's going to be 6 seconds. So Frank is going to have to wait 6 seconds before he can reply. So you're getting the idea of how this works. To get all of these pieces of dialogue together. So he waits 6 seconds, and then he's going to do a reply. So this is the basic outline of the assignment, is to get that back and forth, and you're going to use your weights to do it. And your conversation should tell people something about your character. All right, guys, get to it, and we'll see you.